Hello there everybody, happy Wednesday, happy One Step Wednesday, and welcome to this month's One Step workshop. So I'll give you a few minutes to hop on and we'll see who we have. I know quite a few of you said that you were working this evening, so sorry you can't join. I imagine you're in the US since you're working late in the evening. I'm hoping so. Sorry in that case that the timing doesn't quite work for you. It's always hard when you have a global audience. Do say hello when you pop on. I'd love to hear who's there. Terry, hello. Lovely to have you calling in from Ireland, I believe. So really great that the time zone works for you. Very excited to have you here and a really good topic. So glad to see you, Terry. Always good to see a familiar face. Seeing a couple more people join, so do say hello. First of all, of course, for those of you who don't know me yet, I want to say a massive welcome to this community. It's great to have the familiar faces, but also really fantastic always to have those of you who are new here. So hopefully I'll be getting to know you more in the coming days, weeks and months. My name is Anna Lundberg. I'm the founder of this group and the business called One Step Outside. Which way is it? Everything you've ever wanted is one step outside your comfort zone. I'm the author of Leaving the Corporate 9 to 5, a book I published last year on my birthday, actually in October, and host of the Reimagining Success podcast. Really passionate about helping you reimagine success, create that life and career business outside of the 9 to 5. So I know you guys are all at different points of the journey, but I think we all are here sharing that bigger mission, the bigger picture of what we want to do, which is not staying on that conveyor belt of, as I like to think about it or not like to think about it, writing PowerPoint presentations, Excel sheets in that ivory tower in the office, not really feeling like we have an impact, not doing meaningful work, not being creative and all those things. Graham, great that you could make it. Anita, lovely to have you from New Zealand. My goodness, what time is it in New Zealand? I guess you're okay over there. Some of the Asian time zones don't quite watch. Sarah, good to see you as well. Wow, a fantastic group. Really excited to have lots of you join. And again, I know quite a few of you said that you weren't going to be able to join live, so really great to have you here. I'm counting on you all to throw all your most difficult questions at me, because I'm sure that if you have a question on this topic, how to build an audience from nothing, somebody else will have had that question too. So really helpful to really get that specific guidance from you. So I want to make sure I'm here answering your questions. Of course, I have notes and I'll grab those now, but want to make sure that I'm answering your specific questions as well. So again, welcome to the new members of the community. Hello to the familiar faces. Really pleased to have you here. And again, as you come on, do say hi and where you're watching from. So a bit of housekeeping. This is our monthly one-step workshop. So again, if you're new to the group, this is something we're now doing every 4 weeks or so. It's always based now on a poll that we do in the group. So we ask you to submit your topics. You can do that when you join the group, whenever it comes to mind. And then I'll just sort of do a quick poll before each session just to make sure we're doing something that's really important to many of you. So we're trying to answer as many of your questions as possible. Now, we had another couple of questions this month that were pretty popular. So one was about all setting yourself up for success for 2020. It's not just a new year next year, it's a new decade. So really exciting. So we'll definitely be scheduling that in the next, near future certainly. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to do a bonus session because I know quite a few of you are asking about writing and publishing a book, which is a topic, as you can imagine, I'm very passionate about, and something that I know a lot of you are thinking about. Probably, most of you are dreaming about maybe writing a book at some point. So hopefully a really important topic for you as well. And we ran the Corporate Escape Plan workshop a few weeks ago. We're going to run that again in November, so just next month. And I've made some significant changes to the content. So even if you did it last time, hopefully it'll be another layer of value for you. We're going to be digging a bit more into creating the business proposition as well outside of that corporate world. Now, final bit of logistics is a personal one because I am home alone this evening. My boyfriend had a last minute award ceremony. Isn't the corporate 9 to 5 so glamorous? He's still in his full-time job and he's had to stay late for that in Leicester Square somewhere. My daughter is lying asleep in the room next door. She has been sleeping through the night, but this is live. I have the monitor right here, so I'm going to already apologise now. I've always said to all of you that family should come first, and I always meant that, but now I have a little baby and now I'm afraid it really does come first. So if she does cry, I will be very unprofessional and pop out of the room. You guys can talk amongst yourselves and I'll be back. But fingers crossed, everybody, that she'll keep sleeping through and wake up nice and refreshed tomorrow morning. But just want to say that that may happen. So apologies in advance and thank you for your understanding. So, building an audience from nothing. Now, the way I presented this topic before we came to it was that I really think this is an important topic for many of us, and I see in the group that we have some newbies and we have some who are a bit further along in the process as well. So I think hopefully that means this is a very relevant topic. You guys agree with me, wherever you are in your business really. So when you're first starting out, of course, you have no platform at all and you really are starting from nothing. But I know, and many of you have sort of an established business, but very much based on your existing network, word of mouth, referrals and so on. And that's great that you're doing well that way, but it's not really sustainable, it's not scalable, and you're not really in control of what's happening. So you're not being so proactive about marketing, having that audience that is willing to, or will be willing to buy from you. Now, before we even get into it, and I'd love to hear, by the way, while I'm babbling on, I can see some more comments. Hang on, just see. Lydia, hello, great to see you as well. 8 a.m. in New Zealand. Okay, so not too bad. Glad you can make it. So we've got 8 o'clock in the evening here in the UK and 8 in the morning over there. So there you go. I'd love to hear from you guys why you think this is an important topic, because you're here, you're showing up. So whether you're watching live, please tell me now. And also massive hello, of course, to those of you who are watching the replay. As I said to those of you who I've spoken to already, you can always comment below as if it's live. I'll come back as soon as I can. Tag me if you want to ask me a specific question, and then we can help you as well. But those of you who are live, I'd love to hear, why do you care about building an audience? Maybe you have a reason that I haven't thought about, but I'd love to hear, okay, why is this such an important topic? What do you think this is going to do to your business? What role can this audience play for you? So do let me know. And in the meantime, I want to give you a couple of examples where an audience maybe isn't so important. A bit controversial. So way back when I quit my job in 2013, I started up my consultancy. Now my consultancy was called Crocus Communications. I can tell you the website, it's crocuscommunications.com. I still have my limited company under that name, and I still do digital marketing consultancy as well under that name, sort of. When I set up that business, I was blogging, and you'll see if you do visit that website that I haven't blogged there in quite some time. I was writing articles, I did set up a Facebook page, all the different channels and so on, but you'll see again, if you check this now, I have pretty much 0 followers everywhere. However, I was very successful in my consultancy. I did 2 years and I could have done many more. I just chose to extricate myself from that particular business model, but I got all my contracts via word of mouth. So I've talked before that, I was a digital expert. I had my network of ex-people from the company where I was working, Procter & Gamble. They'd gone to other companies. They knew of me as a digital expert. They brought me in. Fantastic. Once I had my foot in the door, I'd then work and I'd stay, up to 9 months, I think was the longest with one contract. So all of those contracts, word of mouth, people who knew me, network, and those were big contracts. It's not just, let's say, Anita works with me, Lydia works for me. Hooray, that's fantastic. I love you guys. But that's not the amount of money that you would get from a corporate client, right? So a handful of projects, a handful of clients, all via word of mouth referral. My little website was more or less just something like a tick the box, visit that website and, okay, a bit of credibility, but certainly wasn't bringing me any clients. I'm seeing that unfortunately the comments aren't sort of scrolling automatically, so I'm going to have to keep touching the screen. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll keep waving my hand up here, but I am seeing that nobody's answered my questions. So in the meantime, I'd still love for you to tell me why you think audience building is so important. And sorry, Lydia, to hear it's chilly up in Scotland. The marina sounds pretty appealing though. It's pretty cold here too. I'm wrapped up warm, and I've got my hot water bottle at the ready for this evening. But again, do tell me, and those of you watching the replay as well, why audience building you think is so important. But I was just telling you about my consulting business, so arguably not so important in that case. You might say that I had an audience in the sense that I had my network and so on, but not really in the sense of, I wasn't running Facebook ads or really promoting my blog posts. I certainly didn't have a podcast, a book, and all these other things, right? So I just had that site. Another example is a friend of mine actually, who is a coach, has a similar background to mine, now has 2 children, a toddler and sort of a 6-7 month old, I think. And she's got the plan that she wants to be really present with her kids over the next few years. Certainly now, she hasn't even started working again after her second child. And she has a handful of clients. She's always got her clients by word of mouth. She's incredibly good at what she does. She's referred by clients to others, even by someone who she's never heard of, has somehow heard of her and referred her, and so on. Within her niche, people know her. Again, within that small number of people she's worked with, they then recommend her, and that's enough to keep her business ticking over. She has big ambitions for where she wants to take the business in the next maybe 5 years or so. Right now, though, she's really happy with that handful of clients. So again, works really well for her, simple business model. Compared to me, she doesn't spend any of that time doing Facebook Lives and podcasts and articles and all these things, right? She just focuses on servicing those clients really well, and that works for her. So those are two situations where, actually, and you tell me if you disagree, but perhaps an audience isn't as important. But again, if I share my experience of not so much that consultancy, but when I started being a coach. So I've told this story many times, and apologies if you've heard me before, but I trained and certified to be a coach. It was a 2-year program. I finished it in 6 months. I was traveling at the time. I was being nomadic, and I was in, I was in San Francisco, I think, originally. I did the final exam when I was in Hawaii. I was in Texas as well with my aunt, doing all sorts of fun things. And then I did the final exam in Hawaii. It was like 6 weeks of oral exams. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I was in my Airbnb, sort of whispering, doing my exam. So enthusiastic. Put the website up, boom, in January. Not a whole lot happened. I sort of naively, even me coming from a business marketing background, thought, you know what, I've decided I'm a coach. Now, hello everybody, you can buy my coaching from me. Not actually what happened. So yes, I got a client here and there. A few people visited the website. As a writer, as someone who blogs, prolifically, and that was an important part of that, and gradually it grew and so on. But really, it took a very long time. I was very naive about what it took to build that business, and I didn't have that platform. Now, I know one of you, I think Kate, was asking about workshop. We'll talk about that later. I must hold my hands up. I'm not an expert on offline events. I'm more in the online space, probably because I was burned early on, far too early on in the process. And I think I even want to say that first sort of month of starting my business, I set up this workshop, define your goals for, I think it was from 1 day to day 1, very catchy title. Goal setting for the new year, basically. Pretty generic topic. I was excited about it. I thought it was valuable, and I had one person sign up to it, which, I'm really excited that anyone, I'm surprised now that anyone signed up to it, but I wasn't able to run the workshop. Luckily, the venue, which was, I think, like a Buddhist retreat place somewhere in, I want to say, near Waterloo somewhere, doesn't matter. They very kindly said I didn't have to pay for the venue, and I actually gave a free coaching session to this girl. I sort of massaged the truth by saying, there weren't any spots anymore available and so on, because she came quite last minute. But all that to say, you cannot, in case you think this is the case, probably you're smarter than I am, you can't just put up a website one day, say, hello, this is what I do now, buy from me. That's when it gets, desperate and spammy and sleazy and all these things, because we're just desperately trying to sell to people. The closer we get to the time, we're like, no tickets, you're trying to discount, you're just trying to message people, chase people. Not very comfortable for you as the person trying to sell, and definitely not very welcome for the people watching and getting spammed by as well. Hello, Cara, great to have you on as well. Let's see. Okay, I've got quite a few answers now, so scrolling back again, apologies. So Terry, for me, audience building is about reach. People knowing what you do and why they would want to work with you. Yep, absolutely. But also a chance to build advocacy and loyalty. You're speaking my language, Terry. I don't want to compete on price, so if I can build an audience who know what I do and trust that I do it well, they'll hopefully be more likely to work with me, even if I'm not the cheapest option. Yes, 100%, and you should all be thinking like Terry, so gold star to Terry. You're so right, none of us want to be competing on price, because there'll always be the, as the Americans say, the Walmart, Target, whatever, Aldi. Actually, Aldi is quite good now, isn't it? So maybe that's the wrong one to use, but there'll always be a cheaper option there. And absolutely, as Terry says, you want to be reaching more people, but we'll talk about quantity versus quality a bit later as well. But you above all want to have that platform of people who value what you do, understand the value, the worth of the quality of the work, the benefits you can bring, the end results they're going to get, and who trust that you're the right person and then will buy. They may not buy today, probably not. They may not buy tomorrow, but they may buy in a year, 3 years and so on. Now that may sound scary to say that we're building it for the long term. We will talk about some short-term tactics as well. But it's just to know that you're building that long-term brand, as Terry said, really valuable, high quality brand and business that's going to work for you and your financial goals, but also going to get the best results for your clients. So Lydia's saying your client base is also word of mouth through responding to requests for proposals. Keen to think more about building an audience of different types of clients, as well as other researchers who would be interested in our work. And what's really interesting there, Lydia, is again, you have a successful base in a certain way, and now you're sort of layering on another channel, which is fantastic. And also, as you're saying there, you can be more proactive about choosing a specific client type, a specific audience you want to go for. So I always talk about, when we do a career transition, for example, I came from a beauty background, so I still sometimes, not so often anymore, but I have people coming to me, of course, recruiters with jobs and so on, and potential clients as well, look at your luxury, beauty, consumer goods background, because they at the time had no idea that I really wanted to turn my back on that and work with entrepreneurs and startups and eventually do coaching and work with individuals rather than companies and so on. How could they possibly know? So if you're going to do a U-turn, or if you're going to diversify or make some change either individually or in this case with Lydia as a business, you need to be proactive about creating that audience, as it were, and that is where it becomes so important, absolutely, as you say. Let's see, Anita, part of audience building will be so that you can eventually spend more time on projects rather than pitching. And so you can hopefully get a variety of offers, pick the most interesting, or have a variety of work as a portfolio freelancer. One thing for me is difficult is my clients could come from a variety of organisations. Yeah, absolutely. I love that you're saying it might feel, and we'll talk about challenges in a second, but it might feel like this is one more thing that we have to do. I talked about that friend of mine who, can focus all her time on just client delivery, so actually coaching. And when I heard that, I thought, wow, that would be amazing. As much as I love talking to you all and marketing and so on, I spend the vast majority of my time, it feels like, almost generating all this content and training and building this platform. And to be able to just focus on adding value, hopefully I'm adding value now too, but with my clients, that can sound quite tempting. So I love what you're saying there, Anita, that actually having that audience, having that almost on autopilot, that the stuff you're creating and teaching and building those relationships, that sort of has that snowball effect that you can then focus on what you actually want to do, which is making a difference, delivering this product or service or whatever it is. And again, just I was saying with Lydia there, in terms of being more proactive about the types of projects and clients you're choosing, that absolutely comes from having almost definitely chosen the audience you want to attract, right? And what's interesting then, we'll maybe dig into that a bit more, Anita, is the variety of organisations. And I was just talking to a client about that earlier today. It's that constant question of how much do we niche, how specific do we go? What's great is that you can be really focused on the content you're putting out, the audience you're building and so on. I am the go-to person for this. And there will still be other people coming to you. So I can say I work with this organisation, or, men who do this, or young women who do this, or retirees who do that. And there will still be people who love my message, who'll come to me and say, Anna, do you work with women? I know you say you only work with men, but do you work with women? Or, you know what, Anita, you said that you work with this organisation, but I love your message. I'd love for you to do this for us as well. So, I know it's difficult, and I certainly struggle with that too, but never feel like you're being too specific. And certainly you can start with one audience, and you can always expand, diversify, and layer on other audiences as well. Which medium to use? Yes, and we'll definitely talk about that, Anita, so remind me if we lose focus, because I'm seeing there's already lots of time has gone, but absolutely that's part of the strategy, right? Understanding who the audience is you want to get to and which channels you want to get to them on, which social media channels as well. Okay, so let's take the tone down a little bit and be all negative. So that's amazing. The audience building sounds fantastic, lots of benefits. So why do you think this is a challenge? Why are we talking about starting an audience from nothing? What do you think is difficult, you personally, or what do you want to, just extrapolate out? What do you think generally some of the challenges might be when it comes to building an audience? So I'm starting a business, from zero. I've just understood from this fantastic chat we just had the last few minutes that yes, I want to be proactive in my marketing. I want to attract the right people. I want to free up my time to work on the projects and clients I want to work on. I don't want to be slazy. So that's a mixture of salesy and sleazy. There you go, got a new term. I don't want to be slazy. And I want to offer value and build relationships and so on. So, okay, what do you think is getting in the way of this? Why have you guys turned up today? And what's missing for you to be able to build an audience? Consistency. Lydia, I love that you said that, because that is absolutely one of the keys to succeeding in this. So it'll be interesting to dig into that and understand what's the challenge within the consistency, I guess, because it could be you don't have a clear strategy, for example. You don't know who you're targeting. You're not super intrinsically motivated to actually target this group. I might say I feel like I should target this group, but actually my heart and my passion is over here. probably you're not going to show up consistently there. So it could be an issue on strategy, but it could also be an issue on, I'm always I've reversed my video, so it's hard to know. The discipline is remembering what you want, right? So sometimes, well, certainly consistency is about showing up every day, and you may have a clear strategy, but you may just, get distracted, we procrastinate or whatever. So there's both the big picture strategy there for consistency, and then also the discipline, the everyday turning up and being super clear on what your priorities are, what you're going to do in the day to day. Gosh, I don't know why it's not scrolling through the comments here, but we love the different challenges that Facebook brings. Graham, absolutely 100%. So that's part of the strategy, right? If we don't know, first of all, exactly who that audience is we're talking to, what our value proposition is, what are their needs, wants, desires, what are our benefits and results that we can get them, what exactly are we offering, that's also going to make it really difficult, as Lydia said, to be consistent with that, and building that audience. So that's a great point, Graham. And building trust, absolutely. You may have heard this cliche of you want people to know, like, and trust you. And that's important. So, whether it's the slazy salesman on the street, or, used car salesman, or us here on Facebook today, whatever it is. So trust is so important. Something like coaching is incredibly important, but even, Terry does fantastic design work. If I'm going to pay my hard-earned cash for her to design something for my business, I really want to be able to trust that she's going to understand my brand, my audience, this business that I've thrown my whole heart and soul into, and she can design something that's really going to represent that, and she's, apart from the fact that I also need her to, actually do the work and, deliver what she's promised on and so on. Great, so some really fantastic challenges here, but you're absolutely right. Anything else that you can think of in terms of challenges? I think I actually don't have any of those on my list. I have some different ones, so great that you've added those. But the first one I wanted to say actually was lack of time, and related to that, lack of money. So maybe that's partly the consistency and so on, but lack of time, already busy doing everything else we're doing. We've got these existing, in Lydia's case, maybe client projects and things, bringing in lots of money. In my case as well, I was working pretty much full time on these clients. How on earth am I going to spend lots of time building this audience? Or when we're starting out, because we don't yet have the audience and the business and so on, we have limited budget. So how am I going to invest in Facebook ads and whatever it is when I don't have any money? So lack of time and lack of money. And let's see, Lydia's saying you love working one-to-one with your team and clients. The struggle to be consistent doing something that isn't responding to an individual organisation person. Okay, well, I think that self-awareness is really important, Lydia. And the question is, how can you make this something that you also enjoy? Or, of course, another option is always to outsource it. So finding ways to make this thing that you have to do something that you love, and or delegating it to somebody else and letting them do it. So limited time, limited money, lack of knowledge, right? We might not know, again, what channels should we be on? Oh goodness, I don't really know how to use the Facebook groups or the LinkedIn. How do I do this on Instagram? I don't know how to work out who my client should be. I don't know how to package my offer, or goodness knows what else. So, right, lack of knowledge when we're a new business owner can be a big one. And don't know what you think, but I think lack of confidence could be a big one as well. So I may think or know that I should be turning up live on camera, but I find it terrifying. Or the idea of creating a podcast, but the tech behind that is so complicated. I have no idea how that's going to work. Is anyone going to listen to me? All these mindset things come up, right? So I think lack of confidence can be a big challenge as well. So let me know if you think of any other challenges. And again, those of you watching the replay. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about is strategic questions, and then some more tactical areas. And please, throughout the time, throw your questions at me, because again, I want to make sure I'm answering your specific queries, the reason why you came here today. I want to try to address some of these challenges, so let's try to remember those as well when we get to that part. And I have a couple of pre-prepared questions from the audience, so I'll cover those as well. So we'll try to do that in the next half hour. But again, do let me know as things come up. And if you guys here who are live can tell me as well if there are specific areas you want to talk about. But I do want to start with a strategy, because if you know me at all, that is my sort of big passion. I am the strategy person, big vision, big picture, really getting clear on the foundations, the fundamental aspects of your brand and so on. So from a strategic perspective, of course, the first question has to be, who is that audience. So actually, let's say the why, probably. We always forget the why, don't we? But as we talked a moment ago, why you want to build this audience is absolutely vital. Because if you want to build an audience just for the vanity metrics of having 10,000 followers or whatever it is, not so meaningful perhaps. Or, you need to have X number of podcast listeners in order to get a sponsor. Okay, maybe it's more of a motivator. Or, I need to build this audience because I'm so passionate about this mission that I have in my business. And the more people I can reach with this message, the more people I can help and I can change the world. That becomes a bit more of an interesting mission, right? So the why you want to build the audience, it's not because Anna's told you to, it's not because you feel like you should, it's not because it's something that, as a business you're meant to build an audience. No, it needs to be something that's intrinsically important to you. So if you are taking notes, if not, then maybe a good idea, but I would start with the why. And if you haven't thought about it so much this evening, take some time after the session over the week, to really think about why is this such an important topic for you? What would building a business change in your life, in your work, and so on? Fast forward 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, you have a massive audience or however many. How will your life have changed? How will the nature of your business change? The people you're working with, the organizations, and of course the money you're earning, how's that going to change too? So first of all, the why. But then, as I started saying, the who, because there's no point in building an audience, let's say, with buying fake followers via Facebook ads, right? Or just spamming lots of other Facebook groups and getting your friends and family to join. Now, I'm all for getting friends and family to join if you're just starting a group or a page or whatever it is, and you just want, a few people there. You don't want the 0 likes or no people in your group when you're about to go live. But really, both from sort of a business perspective, these people are never going to buy from you. And from the technical perspective of the algorithm, Facebook sees that these people aren't engaged, they're not relevant. If they then try to match, an audience to those people, you'll get even more people who aren't engaged, who don't care about your product and so on. So let's assume we don't want to buy fake followers, hopefully you will agree. And we also don't, I lost my train of thought. We don't want to buy fake followers and we don't want to have people who are unengaged. We need to know exactly who we're targeting. Something which I'll already say now is quality over quantity, right? And we talked about this earlier today as well with a client. So there's no point in having those 10,000 followers if they're unengaged, uninterested, algorithmically, they don't even see your posts. I am also, very much a little bit motivated by seeing those numbers, on Instagram. If you get the 10,000 followers, you get the swipe up functionality. And of course it looks amazing when you have however many people on your Facebook page and so on, but it really doesn't matter. If you've got 50 people in your Facebook group who are super engaged, love you, trust you, and ultimately are going to buy from you, that is incredible. Imagine having 50 sales over the next few weeks, months, even years, right? That's fantastic. Rather than having 500, 5,000, 50,000, goodness knows, who aren't engaged at all. I've got now, over 800 people here, but I can pretty much guarantee, and you'll see that with the lives, that the first few hundred people they probably don't even see my content anymore, because I've pivoted in the business since I started then. Probably it was a lot of family and friends, very nice of them to join, but unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily help the business now. So, to some extent, starting from 0, pretty good place to be. So does everybody know? Give me a hands up emoji, whatever. Does everyone know who their audience is that they're targeting? So we talked about the why and you guys gave me some pretty good reasons, but I'm sure you can find a deeper motivation. But what about the who? Do you know who that audience is? So I think it was Anita said, she had lots of different organisations she wants to work with. Are you clear on this is the type of individual I want to work with? This is the organisation. Even do I want to work with individuals or corporations? Do I want to work with big companies, small? Startups or established organisations? Do I want to work internationally, locally? Do I want to work with people who are over here or over there? And I don't mean geographically, I mean, okay, do I want to take them from point A to B, from B to C, from G to J? So they're trying to get from A to Z. If you think big picture lifestyle, let's say, I don't know, health and exercise and things, right? I want to get from being overweight, feeling miserable, all sorts of other things, feeling unhappy about my body and so on. I want to get all the way to meeting the love of my life, looking incredible on my wedding day. Now, you probably can't be the relationship coach for them, find them, you know, the matchmaker who finds them the partner, and help them lose the weight and work on their confidence, etc., etc. So what segment of that journey are you going to help with them with? Where are you going to meet them, or what are you going to take them to? Maybe in the future you can be an all-encompassing life coaching solution that can do all those things, but for now, what's the little journey, the A to B, etc., that you're going to take them on? So thumbs up for Lydia. Lydia knows her audience. Thumbs down, Graham. Don't worry, that's what we're working on together. We'll be sorting that out with you in the programme. Terry, yes, whoop, whoop, excellent. And then we've already been working on that last year, haven't we, Terry? Anita, I'm probably a bit vague. Yes, your answer sounds a bit vague there, Anita. So, okay, opportunity there to work a little bit more on who you're targeting. So, a bit of mixed answers there. And again, those of you watching the replay can let me know as well. Hello, Sarah. I hope you're feeling better, Sarah. Really lovely that you got flowers from your friend. Sarah's been under the weather, so hopefully you're feeling better now. It's so important, as you know, to feel good. There's no point in trying to build an audience when we're in bed with a fever, so really hoping that you're recovering quickly. So, interestingly, Sarah's mission statement is that she helps people prevent and recover from stress and burnout. But you want to work with women too when working from home, as it's too dangerous for me to have men unless by... Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So two slightly different... Well, I mean, okay, Sarah, just playing along here spontaneously, but what about women who are recovering from stress and burnout? Is that too limited? Do you feel that that's not something? Do you want to make sure that you do work with men and women, or are you happy to actually focus in on women for that personal trust reason, maybe? But I think, you know, there's definitely opportunity to clarify there. It's totally fine to have more than one audience, but probably when you're first starting out, at least, you want to be super clear. And you definitely want to have sort of clear boundaries between those different populations, right? And it may be that one channel on LinkedIn, I'm more targeting this type of profile, and on Instagram, it's more this profile. Even for me, right, LinkedIn, it's easy for me to target people in corporate jobs, because I can see what companies they're at, the kind of profile, and I can talk all about leaving your corporate job and so on. They're not so likely to be public about wanting to leave their jobs, but at least, you know, I can engage with them in messages and so on, and I can find the right people to talk to. Instagram, it's harder to see what jobs people are in and so on, but what I can see is people who've just started their business, who, you know, like just have a handful of followers, who are just starting out with their bit branding and so on. So could be that you have slightly different audiences on different channels. Don't want to exclude men, they can come to my Covent Garden space. That's good, and yeah, that's really exciting. So congratulations, Sarah has an amazing central London location for us, yeah, so which is fantastic. But that's good to know, Sarah. So you know that when you're selling your services and building your audience for the physical location, then you have this broader audience maybe, and then, you know, for certain services it's going to be a bit more niche, and that's just good to know. But I think there's definitely some opportunity to be a bit clearer. So we've got the why, we've got the who, then of course we have the what, which is, we talked a little bit about positioning there. What service are you delivering? Of course, what product? What does your brand stand for? Who are you? What's your personal brand, your credibility, all of that jazz. So of course there's no point in having an audience if you don't know sort of what you're telling them about yourself and what you're communicating with them. So, you know, I can, as an example, get them to sign up to my email list. Woohoo, I built an audience. But then many people just never get around to being consistent, Lydia, right? For sending that email. And then suddenly, I'm sure this happens to you, it happens to me all the time, I get an email out of the blue from someone saying, hey, I'm doing this launch. I don't even remember signing up to this person, but their email reminds me. What do? Unsubscribe. If I can't unsubscribe, I send them an angry email saying that in the European Union now we have this GDPR regulation, and sorry, you can't email me. So what you don't want is to start building that audience and then say nothing at all to them, right? Because the actual sort of initial email or like on the page or whatever is only the very first step. Then you have to get them, as you guys were saying, know, like and trust you, nurture them, and the sale comes way down here, right? So please, when you start now building your audience, make sure that you're, I want to say when you're ready, but you probably don't feel ready, but even before you're ready, you want to make sure that you keep talking to them. Even when you're not ready, just check in on direct messenger, say, hey, how was your weekend? Did you see that I published this? Oh, hey, Sarah can say, you know, it's Friday, it's the end of the week, you know, we've all had a stressful week, I've got this special discount offer in the weekend, or I've just opened this new location in Covent Garden, come and see, I've got a trial offer, recommend a friend, whatever it is. But just keep that conversation going, because you don't want it to be like with me that, you know, someone's reminded that you exist and then they suddenly delete you, or they've forgotten that they requested to join your group because you haven't accepted them in for 3 months, and now they're like, hey, why is Anna talking to me about this group? I don't even know what this is. Unsubscribe, delete, and so on. So what is the conversation you're going to have? And you know, we did a whole challenge on this earlier this year. It's a massive topic that I'm really passionate about, the content, so we're not getting into that. We're more talking about the audience, but just to bear in mind that you have to have something to say to the audience in order to be able to actually benefit from that audience. And then the next piece, and I forget who it was mentioning, was it Lydia or somebody was saying about the different channels, right? So you've got LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, etc. So that also comes from the who. It comes from who you're targeting, because like the example I just gave there, certain people are more active on LinkedIn, more active on Instagram. It might be a very visual business, again, graphic design, you know, on Instagram or Pinterest and so on. I don't know if you guys have heard of this new one, TikTok. It's just come onto my frame of reference. It's something Gary Vaynerchuk is going on about all the time. I like to think it's not relevant for my audience because my audience is a little bit older. When I say older, I still mean young, but this is sort of, you know, teenagers and so on aren't quite ready to quit their jobs yet because they haven't even had the immensely soul-destroying experience of working in corporate. So for me, at least, that's not a relevant platform right now, but maybe it is for you. Maybe, you know, it's busy mums who don't have time to come to Facebook Lives because they're busy putting their 4 kids to bed and doing the laundry and whatever. Busy dads too, by the way, of course. Maybe then it's a podcast, which is the right forum. I love audio these days, and I don't know about you, but, you know, listening to a 15-20 minutes audio is something I can do when I'm, you know, breastfeeding or going for a walk or doing the laundry or whatever it is. So that's really helpful. Maybe it's someone who, you know, people who are super active on Facebook because they are new entrepreneurs. Your audience is people who are actually hustling and marketing themselves, and for that reason they're going to be active here, and that's a really great place to be. Facebook in general, of course, is, you know, a fantastic platform where most people are active. You'll have your grandparents on here. Do you have your children on here? Probably not, depending on how old you are. But, you know, a vast array of men, women, all types of age and so on. So, of course, thinking about the different channels as well. And I'm going to get a sip of water now as I get overexcited. It's all linked together to who your audience is, who you want the audience to be, as well as, and I always emphasize this, the format that you feel is right for that audience and that you feel comfortable with. Because, and let's just draw a distinction there, because we talk a lot about Facebook Live and I talked about confidence, right? You may feel uncomfortable with coming on live on camera, and that's perfectly normal. I did too. You know, it's still easy to get nervous and I'll lose my train of thought, and it's a bit sort of, are people, you know, coming? Are they getting value? All these questions, right? But there's a difference between, this makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, but I can get around it, I can practice it, I can get better at it, and this is going to add incredible value to my audience. And this is absolutely terrifying. I hate this. I never want to do it. I'm never going to do it. Maybe that's not the right thing for you, right? So you have to be a little bit sort of clever about, is this something that you just feel a little bit uncomfortable with and you have to get to grips with, or is it something you're absolutely terrified of? So video is one of those examples. Podcasting, for me, it was more the tech thing that got in the way. You know, maybe just being nervous about putting anything out into the world because you're worried that nobody's going to read it, or maybe somebody will read it and say something negative about it. So, you know, coming to terms with all those mindset pieces as well. TikTok looks like it's very much Generation Z. Yeah, what comes after Generation Z, by the way? I feel like there must be even younger generations now. I can't keep up with Snapchat. Yeah, I opened Snapchat for the first time yesterday in about like 2-3 years. The only way I use it for is to do like filters of myself and send pictures, funny pictures of myself to other people. So I'm not quite cool enough for Snapchat either, unfortunately. But TikTok is sort of like that, but with videos and things, right? So yes, we need to stay on top of these trends, but you know, we also need to know ourselves and we need to know our audiences. So that's really sort of from a strategic perspective. And you know, this is a massive topic, and again, let me know if you have specific questions on those. This is something that we're in for the long haul. We're building a long-term brand, long business, and then, as I said, and I've sort of referred to this several times, and I love it, and it's reassuring once you're in business for a while, but maybe a bit depressing when you start out. But you will get people who say they've been following you for years. I've just had someone join my program who said, I've been reading your emails for 3 years, 4 years, now I'm ready to join. Or somebody who says, oh my gosh, I've been listening to every episode of your podcast and I love this and I want to work with you. You just don't know. You know, the podcast I've done, I've coming up to 50 episodes, almost a year. My emails have been going out for, I think, 4 years or so. Blog for 5+ years. The Facebook group has been there for a while. Now, you might seem like you're speaking to an echo chamber, as Kate was saying, or nothing at all, nobody's listening. People are watching, they are taking notes, and at some point the right people will step up and make themselves known and buy from you. And by the way, the vast majority of people are lurkers. You know who you are, you're watching, and you're not telling me that you're watching. So there'll be people, they're not liking, they're not commenting, they're not participating, they're not messaging and asking about your programs, they're just watching, learning, waiting, and then at the right moment they will step up and want to partner with you. So, you know, don't be disheartened when you first start out. I mean, in a way it's a good thing, right? For our confidence and mindset levels, at least. Actually, nobody's going to care. I go live and nobody watches it. I found that incredibly liberating when I first did my Facebook lives. Nobody came on, so it was almost like a pre-recorded video. No one was watching. The first time someone came on, I was completely thrown, and it's a bit stressful, but actually you get used to it, right? And it's just a really fun thing, actually. It's, you know, we're having a nice chat here, I recognise your names, and it's just a nice conversation. So, you know, again, getting comfortable with these things is really important. And there you go, there I lost my train of thoughts. So, strategy, long-term brand, long-term business, people will listen, learn, and ultimately buy from you. So please don't give yourselves a hard time when you're starting out. First of all, because there won't be a lot of people watching, but again, there will be people, there will be a snowball effect, and over time, people will, you know, come to you. And by the way, I also said this to someone today, let's not be disrespectful of that one person who buys the workshop ticket in my case, or the 2 people who watch your first live, or the 1 person, right? That is a human being who has chosen to take their incredibly valuable time, or money perhaps, to give to you. I'm hugely grateful for all of you joining me here. I love chatting to you. I hope I'm providing you with value, and you know, I'd love to see you again afterwards at another session and so on. But each individual is someone we should be respecting and be grateful for and value. First of all, who knows, they may buy from you later on. They may buy from you today, tomorrow, next year. Not just that though, I've had, and let me call you out then, Anita just referred somebody to me. Anita told me she's always telling people about my book and so on. It almost doesn't matter if Anita ever wants to work with me, because she's doing an incredible job talking to other people, being an ambassador and being hugely supportive. So those are the people you want to work with, you want to have in your sort of network, in your audience. In fact, I do want to mention, and I know Cara's already listened to this one, on the Boss Mums, am I getting this right? No, I'm confusing 2 things. On the Amy Porterfield podcast, there was an interview with Dana, I can't remember her last name, who is the founder of the Boss Mums Facebook group, and there are 40,000+ people in that group. And she talked about all the different kinds of people you want to have in your Facebook group, and she pointed out there are people in there who will be completely silent and just watching and so on. There are those who will be sort of the policemen who are saying, hey Terry, you can't talk about that, or no, this is all about this, you're not allowed to sell, and so on. There will be people who, you know, come in and they like and engage and so on. There'll be others who create their own posts and are really active and pushing and so on. So you want all of these different people in your audience. And again, just to bring you back to the key point, you're doing an incredible job. Make sure that one person who turns up, who reads your blog, who responds to you, you treat that person as if they're the most important person in the world, and you can't go wrong. That person may buy from you, they may refer you to someone else, and if nothing else, you've added value to that person, which, you know, ultimately is what we want to do. So that's from a strategic perspective. So any questions on that, let me know, and we'll head on to some more practical tactics, and I want to answer some questions that came in too. Tomorrow's podcast, speaking about podcasts, if you're not subscribed, it's Reimagining Success over on hopefully most podcast apps, but there's Apple, Spotify, Stitcher and so on. So really great resource to hopefully immerse yourself in all things reimagining success and so on outside of the 9 to 5. But tomorrow's podcast episode, I'm talking 5 specific tactics that can help you get things off the ground. And just to throw some of these at you quickly, one of the things you can do is to partner with other people. So you don't want to partner, and you probably won't be allowed to partner with people who do the exact same thing as you, because, you know, there might be a bit of competition there, and that's not the space you want to be in. But if I'm a graphic designer, I could partner with a copywriter, and we can, you know, share. I can promote my offer or whatever it is in Terry's group, she can do it in mine. We can have a bit of a swap and exchange. Or even, you know, if you're organising an event, I think, you know, it feels much more appealing to me to partner with a couple of other people. And like, for example, a stupid example, but I think it sort of illustrates the point. You know, having a birthday party when you're little and hardly anyone turning up is pretty upsetting. When I was living in Geneva for 4 or 5 years, I did a joint birthday party with these 2 crazy Norwegian twins of everything. And they were incredible. I think one of them at least is in this group, so hello if you're watching. And they had such an amazing group of friends. They were all so into fancy dress and so on that when we had parties, I knew that we would have loads of people. My friends not so keen on fancy dress, had a handful of them turn up and so on and make the effort. But it was really great to know that, you know what, these guys are going to bring in the people, so I wouldn't have to be alone on my birthday. So it's the same with an event or something, right? So you can partner with someone else, whether it's your co-founder or someone, you know, you're a yoga instructor and you partner with a nutritionist, or I'm a business coach and I bring in a relationship coach, a well-being coach and so on. You know, we can partner with others who have synergies in our audiences, maybe shiatsu and yoga and all things, you know, together, or whatever it might be, or some meditation coach could be in there, partner with other people, build those relationships with others. And that's a great way, sort of collaborations is a great way to build an audience, you know, sort of to piggyback off other people's audiences. Of course, you need to have something in it for them. You can't just go, hey Terry, I really want to market my product to all your incredible Instagram followers. That's not going to be so effective. So you need to think, you know what, I can do this, I can give you a free opt-in, or I can teach your people this, or whatever it is, right? So think of the value exchange. Something else is, of course, again, when you're talking about building an audience, as much as I'm, you know, a fan of having a website and I was blogging and so on, at the beginning, no one's going to see that blog and website. So going on other people's websites is going to be really key. So, for example, I've published on Thrive Global. It's Arianna Huffington's platform. I've written for Be Somebody and The Muse. You know, if writing is your format, your genre, your zone of genius, whatever it is, that's a great way to go out and write. Even if you're not a writer, by the way, if you're an expert on a topic, it's still worth writing, you know, a short piece or something and pitching that to some of these. Mostly for free. There are some paid platforms, but we're not doing this for the money. We're doing it to build that audience, right? So look out for those platforms where you can write your incredible ideas and things. That's going to be much more powerful. So for me, for example, I've discovered, and you may have noticed this on my website and so on, I've been talking about this, I've been blogging for a long time, and it's sort of incrementally growing and so on the website, but not really massively. And whenever I've had a massive influx of people has been when I've had an article published on an external site or something. So the one time Arianna Huffington shared one of my articles, I got, you know, 1,000, 2,000, I think 3,000 people on my blog that one day, right? So I know that going out to get one article published on like the Business Insider or Inc. or whatever it was, like it was last time, will make a massive difference compared to just one more weekly blog. So I'm choosing to shift my priorities now towards that. So thinking externally rather than internally as well. So collaborating with other people, writing on those other websites and so on. And one other thing, you know, is actually a simple one that I think is relevant for most of us, is just connecting with people, right? So it might be following people, commenting on Instagram. It could be connecting on LinkedIn. You literally just send a connection request and, you know, they might say no, but actually you can there, and we said proactively choose the people who are in the industries that you're after. If you pay for the premium version, or maybe you try the free trial, you can find the people with the exact profile you're after, connect with them. That automatically is creating an audience for when you then post and share videos and posts and comments, whatever it is, on LinkedIn. So, you know, just connecting with people on social media, of course, is a fantastic way to build the audience as well. So those are a few of the more sort of tactical things. Again, let me know if you have questions on those, but there will be the podcast episode tomorrow with 5 of those tactics as well. We are coming to the end of the hour. My goodness, it's gone so quickly. So those of you who are still watching, stick with me. Let me know any other specific questions that you have. And I'm going to pick up on 2 things that came up in some people's questions before the session. But those of you who are live, and again, of course, watching the replay, do let me know. But Kate, who I think isn't live now, unfortunately, but we talked about it before, talked about how do I market a local event short of spamming my social media accounts. So many Facebook groups have a no advertising policy, and I feel like I'm talking to an echo chamber. So the first thing I want to pick apart is this idea of spamming my social media accounts. And I think the very first thing there is a question of mindset. Because if we feel, and this is again the slazy word that I made up, if we're feeling like we're spamming, we're being salesy and sleazy and pushy, first of all, that's not a good place for us to be. We won't enjoy that, and it's not what we want to be doing. It's icky, but that's also going to come across to other people, right? And that's not what we're doing. I'm assuming, Kate, and I looked at your events, so I know it's true, you're organising an event that adds a lot of value for a specific audience. If that reaches that right person, the people who, I think you wanted to get 25 people to that event, this is going to be incredible for them. They show up and they're going to get this incredible result that you're going to give them. That's what you need to do. You need to reframe what you're doing. You need to really think about how you're serving people, not being spammy and salesy. And then your goal suddenly becomes, hey, I just need to find these people. I need to tell them about this thing, and it should be a no-brainer that they want to join. Now, that may sound very simple, and of course it's not that simple, but it's important, again, to not think of it as, oh my gosh, I'm just spamming people, oh, I'm being really pushy, and oh, should I be doing this and so on, because that's not really a good place to be. So from a mindset perspective, don't think about it as spamming and sleazy. And if you feel like you're spamming, you probably are, so stop. This whole, posting in other people's Facebook groups, not a great strategy. I think maybe it worked in the past, but not anymore. The other piece is more a strategy piece, and I think it was Terry who talked about this whole loyalty, advocacy, reach. So when I do a content strategy, and this comes from my Procter & Gamble days, we always had this, the old school purchasing funnel was building awareness, creating engagement, making the sale, converting, and then sort of advocacy, loyalty, and so on, right? So you take them from, they need to know you exist, they need to get to know you, you need to be credible to them, they need to understand what you offer and so on, they need to think that you can actually make this product or deliver that service and so on. They need to trust that you're the right person or company. They need to then buy from you, and then they might refer you to somebody else and so on, right? So you can't just come one day, as I did, and say, hey, buy from me. Now, sometimes, and I'm watching The Apprentice at the moment, I don't know if anyone else is, it's a bit cringy, but I'm trying to get through it. It's quite a fun exercise, here in the UK with Lord Sugar, who's going to invest in their business. You always have this kind of Cockney Del Boy guy, which is totally out of my comfort zone, to be at the market stall and go, oi, oi, like, buy from me, oh yeah, come on, 2 for £1, blah, blah. I don't know where that voice came from. That's not me at all. There is sort of a way to, just flog some stuff, and that might work in certain markets, but generally for most of us, and again, as Terry said, we're building high quality brands, and this is a long-term business with real pricing, with people who are valuing your work, people who are motivated, who are doing incredible things, and so on, right? So we're not going for that kind of flogging a used car and so on. But what we're doing is build relationships. So if your event is next week, there's not a lot we can do in terms of the big picture and the long-term strategy, but you want to damn well make sure that next time you do an event, you've done all that work, right? For me, if I do a launch tomorrow, I just decide I'm going to promote this program or coaching. I mean, now that I've built the audience, hopefully there would be people who are ready to hop on that call with me or to join the program. But if I'm starting out from scratch, probably not. Whereas if I know I have an event in December, January, I'm launching a program, I can start with that in mind. I can work my way back and think, okay, these are the types of questions I want to be asking myself. This is why I want to build the audience. These are the types of people who would benefit most. This is the type of content I'd be putting out for them. I want to chat to these people. I want to get to know what their questions are. That will also help me make the event better because I know what their questions are and so on, right? So you have to, I know this doesn't help for this time if you've got an event, in a few weeks' time, but you have to think, don't put yourself in that position where you're desperately trying to flog the tickets the last second, because that's when we get spammy and sleazy, and believe me, I've been there. You want to start by building those relationships, continue the conversations, and then when I one day say to Terry, hey, by the way, I'm launching this other program, I thought you'd be a perfect fit, she goes, oh, okay, well, Anna usually, knows what I need to do, let's have a look at this and then see, and if it's the right fit, she might buy. But I can't just go like from one day to the next, John joins my live and go, John, I've just seen you join my Facebook group, buy my coaching, it costs £3,000, and that's never going to work, right? So I would say mindset, overcome this idea that it's spammy, sleazy, slazy, as I say, and so on. And then secondly, you want to be building those relationships as well. Now, Kate, since you're not on live, I think, I won't go into any more detail on that. Let's talk offline. I am not the expert in terms of promoting an offline workshop. I know I did a quick Google and there's always lots of tips there. For example, you can create a meetup group as well. I've done that actually for One Step Aside Brand. That's a great platform for offline events. You can have things like, of course, early birds and refer a friend and all these things. There's all sorts of tactics. But from a strategic perspective, at least, that's what I'd say to you in terms of building relationships before, so you don't have to feel spammy. And then the other question I had, and do bring your questions in as well still, if you're still watching, I want to make sure I can see all the comments. One question was, okay, I'm doing this, I'm getting people to join the Facebook group, people are joining my list, how do I make it faster? It's taking so much time. It's going so slowly. How do I speed this up? So I think this is something we can all be familiar with. You know, I had the goal of trying to get this group to 1,000. I think we'll get there by the end of the year. So if you know someone who could benefit from this group, please invite them. But, you know, we have these goals. We want to get to loads of people. But again, first of all, remember that each individual you have is someone whose life you can change and so on. So respect that individual. Secondly, it does take time. Things take either time or money. So if you have a lot of money and not very much time, you can throw money at Facebook ads. You know, you can do sponsorships. You can sponsor the what is it called? Come and help me out. The Super Bowl is what it's called in America. You can put an ad during X Factor, the final, whatever it is, right? You can, okay, extreme example, but you can throw money at it and you can buy followers. You can buy the result you want. Most of us probably don't have so much money. We have more time, arguably, when we're starting out. Now, unfortunately, sometimes we have no time, no money. Then we just need to be patient and it's going to take much longer. Okay, that's something we just have to sort of deal with, but it does take time. But what I also said to this client earlier today was that actually, again, quality over quantity. If you've got 50 new people into your Facebook group and every single one is in your ideal target, they're all in that exact who that you've identified. They are there to learn the things that you know you can teach them. They're exactly at that phase you want to take them from A to B, and that's where they are. They're working active in this, they're going to want to buy from you and so on. That's incredible. And if you can get another 50 next month, amazing, right? Just think where you'll be in a year and so on. It's the small steps, as Lydia said, the consistency over time that's going to make a difference. So quality over quantity. And unfortunately, you need either time or money. And these days, again, it's about relationships, you know, and previous launches, and a couple of you guys are here, you know, having those conversations with you guys, kind of getting on a Q&A, having a call, messaging back and forth, so much more powerful, right? There's that one-on-one. And yes, that takes time, but you're investing in something that has a substantial price tag attached. It's something important. It's your life. It's your business. And that conversation is so valuable to you, to me, to understand, you know, and even if you don't buy, then I've learned about you and so on. So please, again, try to reframe it. Yes, it takes time. You're doing an incredible job, and it will, you know, over time that will incrementally snowball. So again, final questions. Oh, we are at 9 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap up. I just had a few more notes. I'm going to look at my piece of paper so we don't forget them. But one is, yes, it takes time. So start sooner rather than later. I always say this, start before you're ready. You know, the best time to plant a tree is yesterday and the second best time is today, right? So you don't want to be desperately trying to build this audience when you have the event happening tomorrow or you have your deadline next week. You desperately need to pay your rent next month, right? Or you've got a location and you need to pay them, you know, whatever it is, right? So you want to make sure that you're building it before you actually need it. By the way, this goes for when you're changing job as well, right? You want to make sure you have the right network and connections and so on. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is all up to date, whatever it is, before you need it. You don't want to be doing that stuff when you're made redundant or when you're desperate for that job. You want to be in a really great place. You already have that platform. So then, and by the way, so many tangents, such a good topic. If I were launching a new product business, I may not have the product yet, but if I start an Instagram now and I show you the behind the scenes process of me designing this, and this is our, you know, draft, and this is what we're working on, and oh, I've just been to the factory, it looks amazing, and I've just been doing the shoot and so on, that's incredible. You're building an audience, you're building a community that's going to be ready to buy from you. So, you know, again, start sooner rather than later. You want to build the long term, so that strategy of why is this important, I'm getting excited, I'm putting the cable, who are you trying to reach, what, where, when, etc. You have to build that strategy, and knowing that, you know, you're the massive Titanic ship, maybe if you're established for a while, Lydia, you know you're over here, you've got this successful business now, you're trying to steer and pivot there, or you're trying to add these other things, know that that's where you want to get to while you're still servicing these clients and doing this other work, right? So you want to do the tactics, the short-term stuff, business as usual, while you're investing in the longer term. Be consistent. You said that, Lydia, as well, so important. Swallow your ego, because again, show up to a live, hardly anyone's there. One person buys your program. You feel a bit silly posting, whatever it is, right? Forget about it. This is what it's about. I can promise you that feeling goes away. I just, as you can tell, I'm totally shameless. I'll just babble on forever. I've now made a change that I was sort of writing blog posts that I then essentially kind of read from for my podcast. I now literally just almost freestyle through the podcast. I love it. Let me know if you find it interesting too, but I think it's just a really nice, natural way to speak to people. And, after several years of doing this, I feel much more comfortable doing it. So swallow your ego. Don't worry about looking silly. There will be people who love you. Yes, there will be some people who don't, but that's okay. They're not your people. So build that tribe of people, be yourself, and you'll attract incredible people who love you for who you are. Just like with relationships, in fact, which I realised years ago. There's no point in pretending to be some cool, whatever kind of type of woman who, then will attract a certain type of man who will then either discover that I'm not that amazing woman that I've pretended to be, or will discover, or I'll have to pretend to be that person the rest of my life. So with your business as well, you want to make sure you're authentically you, so you're attracting the right people. And then the final thing is you can layer on as you go. This may sound overwhelming. I think if you're starting out, things have gone quite quiet here, so maybe you're desperately taking notes. I know some of you are earlier on in the process than others, so I don't want to throw you off and overwhelm you. Believe me, when I started, and yes, I made mistakes, as I said, but I only started with the blog. And then I added I think monthly email that became fortnightly, weekly now, and so on, right? And then I added... who knows what else I added. I think I added the Facebook group, which has relatively recently become the more sort of interactive, dynamic group that it is now, when I do these challenges and lives. And so I think I've done the lives for a couple of years now. Podcast was new last year, book was new last year, group programs, I started off one-on-one and so on, right? So you don't have to do all these things now. Be grateful for where you are today, be transparent, be honest, understand where you are. Whether you're like Lydia, you already have a successful business and you're pivoting, or you're trying to add new things. You're maybe like Anita, you have all of these different things, you want to be more focused. Sarah's got a couple of new projects coming up as well. You need to know where you are, where you're trying to get to, but layer it on one thing at a time. You can do everything, but you can't do everything all at once. So those are my final words of wisdom. So Anita saying, thanks for your time and valuable tips and insights. Thank you, a pleasure. Really good to see you, Anita, and good morning. Kia ora, as you always say, over there in New Zealand. And I will definitely check that YouTube channel out. Yes Theory, sounds amazing. Seek discomfort. Something else I'm reading about, I'm a bit obsessed with this, is nudging. I know it's been around for a while, and to be honest, so far what I've read is basically what I'm already doing in my coaching, which is hopefully a good thing. But really interesting concept of... little steps, breaking down big goals into little steps and little nudges, as it were, that can make us, change our behaviour, change the way we're eating, exercising, our financial investments and so on, and hopefully within, career change and business as well. So definitely add that to my reading list and the YouTube channel. Yes Theory sounds like a great recommendation. Thank you so much. And as you know, I'm all about getting out of my comfort zone. So it's something we have to continue doing in our business, because, I might get comfortable with this and then maybe Facebook shuts down, who knows, and I'll need to get comfortable with something else. So constant journey of pushing ourselves and growing and so on. But I have gone over time now, so apologies, but hopefully that's been valuable for you. And please keep the questions coming. I'd love to hear what you thought. Did you have one big takeout? And if I didn't cover what you were hoping to get, just keep commenting and writing your question. Tag me if I don't see it, so I can make sure I answer it. Of course, it's a massive topic, but I hope, as with everything, and in fact, as with nudging, if there's one little thing, I always talk about the one step. So don't try to think after this, oh my God, I have to work out this, and I have to work out that, and I have to do this, and I should do a Facebook. No. Take a deep breath. Big picture, why do I want to do this? What would be one step I can take? So do you want to push yourself to try to do a live, or hang on, I don't even know who my audience is going to be. I need to clarify that. What is it that would be most helpful to you? And do one step. And if after every live you join, every training, conference, coaching call, whatever you have, you take one action, you cannot imagine the incredible changes that you'll make. But we always get overwhelmed, we want to do everything and we end up doing nothing. So do try to find one step you can take. You're very welcome, Lydia. Really great to see you here as well, the rest of you. And thank you to those of you watching the replay as well. I know there are quite a few of you this time round. As I said, we will have another session on 2020 planning, so let me know if you have questions on that. We'll do sort of an Ask Me Anything kind of thing about writing a book, so that's coming up soon as well. And any other topics, as ever, you can comment here. We often just ask in the group. You can send me a private message and we'll make sure to cover it in some way or another, either on a podcast episode or in a live like this as well. So thank you to all of you who've joined me this evening. I know it's depending on where you are in the world, it's anyway a big chunk of your time. I know you guys are busy, so hopefully that answers some of your questions. Really excited to hear what your key takeaways are, so let me know what your one key insight is. Let me know if you want me to hold you accountable to that one step that you're going to take as well. Good luck with building your audiences, and I will see you back here very soon. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon. Bye.